Cinder, a remix of Dark Souls 3 by Rotaka. Folks, you know what that song means.
I sure do.
Yes.
It means I am apparently alone in this room, but have no fear. Saxxon and Tormod are still doing the show with me tonight. You can see their little icons in the webcam view here. We're doing a remote show through Discord. Kind of intentionally, kind of not, but hey, we figured we may as well test this out to see if this is viable for cases of, let's say, bad weather, or sickness, or laziness, or whatever.
Embracing voice as a service? I don't know.
I guess so.
Sure. Why not?
The year of our Lord 2019 is upon us, and we are just now hopping on the voice over IPs, whatever those are.
I suppose. But I will say, well, firstly, welcome to Insert Credits Round 65. Smush it down, ew.
Come on, man. Embrace the
nasty.
smush.
All right. I mean, Valentine's Day was yesterday. You've got
That's
364 more days now. But anyhow, initially it was planned this way for us to be remote because, well, of course, the weather forecast never lies. And it said that we were going to receive an 80% chance of snow on Friday. It's pretty sunny outside, just saying. But we're all like, well, kind of already planned to get all this other stuff done beforehand, so why don't we give this a shot? So since the last time we did this, we were, let's see here, Saxxon and I were at the very beginning of our Twitch broadcasting experience. We were still using wireless lapel mics, and it was kind of crappy. But now I've got this fancy mixer that Adam's also using, and I'm using a piece of software called Voicemeeter Banana. No, just Voicemeeter, not the banana version. And I'm taking just the mic source from my mixer and feeding it through to Discord. So I can have the full mix going to my headphones, which includes all of the audio from the stream that's totally not delayed at all. But I'm piping out the microphone directly into Discord as its own little virtual audio device. So you're hearing me with my same EQ and all of the other happy fun, I guess, edits that I've got to my voice that I normally have on my stream out through Discord, which is really cool. So I've got my own little personal thing going on, and it seems to be doing okay.
Yeah, and I have that same similar setup. I'm using just is it the same mixer model that you have personally too, or is mine slightly smaller? Because I think I bought your old one. And
I ran out of inputs. So
okay.
You have the 16R, and I've got the 32R, which is actually the same as what we're using for the marathon stuff. But
right.
I figured with the endless amount of consoles that I keep buying, it's probably good to have more inputs than I need instead of continually buying new mixers.
That's probably true. Yeah, I mean, I've got the same sort of setup now as you, but instead of using Voicemeeter, I have fully analog going into multiple sound cards because it's just easier that way than dicking about with USB ASIO that doesn't seem to work reliably all the time. And
yeah, ASIO is sure a thing.
Yeah, it sure is.
I love it as a musician, but that's like a very limited scope of what I ever use it for.
And realistically, with the cabling that you're doing to your physical sound cards, it's pretty much the same thing as what the software is doing.
Right.
So you're doing it. It works.
But heaven forbid I need to switch OSs at some point, which I still occasionally do need to do. It's actually a little bit better than trying to rely on USB drivers that are not always reliable, go figure.
Yeah, for sure. And, it's funny you mentioned that because I went through and, gosh, my last stream was on January 30th, which at that point I updated everything. Well, I logged into my PC and I was like, okay, update Tuesday was this week. Sure, go ahead and install updates. And while it's going ahead and doing that, just checking all the other drivers, and sure enough, there's a new Personas driver. So got that installed, and I'm just glad that it worked without any hassle this time. So no firmware updates, nothing special, but it's always real interesting installing Voicemeeter, and I can't really give it too much crap because it's free software and it's literally donateware. And it's just this one UI peculiarity where I need to choose two very specific output channels that don't form a feedback loop into the mixer. And when you're choosing these channels, it doesn't actually display the correct channel that you've set it to. So there's this master window, and then because it has all of the controls and the knobs and all the dials for the levels, and it says which channels are going to which devices. Well, then you have this modal dialog that pops out so you can configure which inputs and outputs go where. and when you're clicking in that modal dialog, it doesn't actually update itself properly, but the numbers change in the master dialog that shows your master configuration. So I have to move the modal out of the way so I can see the numbers changing on the other window, and it's just this weird thing. But it's a bug. I'm kind of hoping that eventually the report that I sent is useful, but I went through reinstalling it today because I hadn't had to use this in a while, and I was just kind of like, crap, how do I set this up? And fortunately, it took me like 10 minutes to remember, but it's still a weird thing, but it works, and that's really all that matters right now.
Yeah, that's right. Well, weird audio setups aside, welcome everybody. I'm MrBond.
I'm Tormod.
And I'm Saxxon.
And hopefully you all saw that nice StreamKit overlay light up when everybody was talking. Obviously, you can hear me, or you can see me talking, so it doesn't really matter so much for me, but Saxxon and Tormod being remote, that's a little bit more important, but I'm sure you can identify them by voice by now. So housekeeping. We don't have a March show set, as I am looking at the calendar currently. Yeah.
Okay, well, let's go. Oh, hi, Chrome. Why did you crash that tab as soon as I went to it? That's rude.
Womp.
All right. Well, what's this? Calendar.google.com wants to open my web calendar links.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
Sure.
I'm seeing the 15th is open, but I'm not looking at your calendar, so that might not
Yeah,
be
my
tenable.
calendar is actually unavailable, so...
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, well, I mean, my calendar, maybe it is to you, but my calendar, we're actually going to be gone that day.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're actually going to be up in northeast Wisconsin the whole day on the 15th. Now I need to actually adjust that, but I'm on call the week before, and I don't really want to do another remote show. So how does the 22nd sound to you?
The 22nd it is.
Cool.
That will be what, round 66 if math holds?
Yes. We only need another 600 before it's cool.
Oh, jeez. Or another 3 until it's nice.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
I have
That's
a feeling
true.
we'll get to that first.
That's true. We'll also get to Magic Show 420 before 666.
That's true. That is true. That's going to be a lot of time, though. Let's see if we keep.
We're going to
Oh boy.
We need to make sure it happens in April.
I'm going to do some quick math in my head on stream, which is never a good idea. That's what, 380-ish shows. Why am I using my head when I have a program for this?
I was going to say, you've got the math.
That's not a number, apparently. 12.
What is this, JavaScript?
Right. About 31 years before we get to that number if we continue one show a month, so...
I mean, I'm pretty sure we could do that. Let's make that a life goal.
Good lord,
Why
31
not?
years. That's a long-ass time. That will be...
I mean, you're not wrong, but that's like approaching retirement age. I mean, we could just call it at that point.
Yeah, that's double our lifespans right now, as of current, roughly, thereabouts.
I was gonna say, I was like, wait a sec.
Yeah, I mean...
I don't want to die.
I know, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, okay, so that sounds good. The 22nd of March for around 66.
You know, why don't we also look into April too, because that is going to be a big month for us.
April, that's right, because we've got Extra Life 2019 on the 5th through the 7th.
Truth. And then Midwest Gaming Classic is the weekend after.
Weekend. Okay, so that puts us
it's going to have to be the 19th.
All right, very good.
And that's
sold.
Right before I'm on call for another week.
All right, fantastic. I'm sure my on-call is one of those weekends there somewhere, but it doesn't fucking matter. So that will be, let's see, around 67.
Truth. Good number.
Creditsu. Okay.
And then, hell, why don't we just do May right away? We'll make it the 17th.
17th looks good.
Cool.
That'll be 68, and that's probably good enough for now. Let's be
yeah,
honest.
yeah.
We can yap about schedules all night long, but people will hate that, including me. So let's not continue to do that. But I do believe that wraps up our housekeeping, which takes us into Around the World. I gotta be honest, it was a little light for news for me this time around until like the past 2 or so days when everything just kind of landed at once because nobody can spread out their fucking news.
Yeah, everything blew up the last couple days for me too.
Yeah, and I'm sure part of that is going to be Nintendo Direct, which Tormod, I'm sure you will cover in great detail.
Only the details I care about.
Right. Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. So let's start off with some Xbox Live Access is coming to the Switch as an app to be the social thing that Nintendo is apparently incapable of doing themselves, which given their track
and achievements,
record,
don't forget that.
Oh boy, Chivos are the thing everybody wants. I don't want them.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm not really sure what to think. And like, if you were to tell me this before, the announcement, I would have just laughed you off the planet.
Yeah, right. So, I mean, I guess I can say good on Nintendo for recognizing they suck at online social stuff, but I really don't think that's what they're going for this, and I'm not even sure why this
is who you
happens.
chose.
Yeah, I don't know. This has many shades of weird to it. I guess we'll just have to wait and see how it plays out. I'm not really interested in it personally. I'm sure a lot of people are, and I'm sure a lot of people hate it. So, whatever. That's the internet for you. Activision, our good old friends Activision. Do we care about Activision? Not really.
But, I mean, only so we can dunk on them.
That's right, which we will be doing plenty of with this, and I think one of yours as well, because I read ahead a bit. But they're starting to pay out refunds after Guitar Hero Live lost 90% of its music due to a December 2018 server shutdown because of music licensing issues. Fantastic.
That's real great.
Yeah, it's good. So they're finally paying out refunds. I think that the terms were like if you bought it in 2017 or beyond or something like that, because it was released a couple years prior and blah, 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 blah. So
can I just make a joke?
Yeah, please do.
So, like, all the money they paid out there, that doesn't quite equate to all the 800 people that got laid off.
No.
Just saying.
No, it surely does not.
Fuck you, Activision Blizzard.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. The console versions of Guitar Hero Live will still have access to the 42 pack-in songs. But lo and behold, the versions that rely purely on the cloud/streaming versions, namely the iOS and Apple TV versions, are completely inoperable. Fantastic. Way to go, Activision. Way to really read the room on that one. So, I mean, I guess it's good that people are getting refunds finally for it. It sucks that this is a thing that happened, that now has a precedent, and that will probably continue to happen for cloud-based crap like this. But
it's total garbage, because, like, I think the cloud made things worse for music games and stuff where they have to license from that. You go and buy a DDR game for the PS2 or something, and you still have the same song list as.
No, they're gonna come over and physically scratch your disc so that you can't play those songs.
Right?
Just so you know.
I would not put that past any of those licensing fucks. Like, that is something that might happen.
I would expect that from
X-Acto knife
first, and then Activision second.
Well,
boy. It's not a good scene, I don't think, for any of this stuff, really, because, I don't really care too much about DRM schemes and shit like this. I buy as much shit on Steam as anybody else, but if something happened there, people would fucking riot. Probably including me, because I have a lot of money invested in my Steam library, and come hell or high water, I want to play most of those before I die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just keep buying those games. You'll live forever.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking, if they don't get sufficient backlash on other platforms, then they're going to think that they can do that to Steam. And while there may be some sort of backlash, they'll also have people rushing to their defense. We're like, well, what makes Steam different, So you kind of got to defend it across the board.
Well, with the up-and-coming rising star that is the Epic Store, and the continuing availability of Itch, and Humble Store, and everything else, it's not necessarily serious competition to Steam and other giants of that ilk, but it's something.
I hope it ends up being, a sleeper success, and then, all of a sudden, it either leads to Steam doing better or people just migrating away. I just kind of want I want the best one to win. I don't really even care who it is.
Right. Competition is a wonderful thing, right? I mean, it forces everybody to, well, maybe not forces. Forces is a strong word, but it encourages everybody to do better, which is probably the best we could hope for at this point. Valve has updated the Steam VR to handle tracking much quicker movements after evaluating the movements of top-tier Beat Saber players. Apparently, some of their sanity checking in the driver software for Steam VR discounted the fact that humans can move a lot faster than they initially thought, namely on the order of rotating their wrists at the rate of 3,600 degrees per second. Which is apparently what some top tier
Excuse me?
Yeah, exactly, right? So 3,600 degrees, right? That's 10 full revolutions
In a second.
in a second is
So-
the rotation rate that they found.
I was going to say, have their wrists popped out of their sockets yet?
Well, no,
or-
not like the wrist itself is making 10 revolutions a second. It's the speed at which they rotate their wrists works out to 10 revolutions per second.
Oh,
That's
okay.
Still
That makes-
terrifying?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's really fast, but
It's
that makes
really
more sense.
fast. But yeah, apparently that was running afoul of some of the sanity checks to make sure that all their VR tracking and spatial tracking was actually functioning properly. So they have dialed up their tracking abilities to kind of handle that, which is amusing and awesome. Humans are
Oh, yeah.
weird.
Yes.
They
As a
should
weird
really
human, I
include
can agree with you.
they should really include some more rhythm gamers when they go and test this stuff.
They really should.
You know, I want to see you do like 10K RPMs somehow on a dance pad or whatever it was. Just flail. It's fine.
10,000. How does RPMs even equate to dancing?
It doesn't.
Oh.
That's what the revolution in DDR stands for.
There you go.
Right.
See? It literally is revolution.
Oh man, if they made a title for DDR where that was a literal thing, that's like approaching Kingdom Hearts level garbage.
So
Well,
they did introduce an update to their game called DDR A20, and the A kind of looks like a 4. So immediately after the announcement, people were making DDR 420 memes.
Fantastic. That's humanity for you. They will seize on the memes.
Yeah.
Is there a DDR6 yet?
They
I
keep
mean-
jumping around in numbers like
Oh.
maybe, but I have no idea when that's happening. Nobody even knows if it's going to be after 5 or whatever.
Of course.
I mean, what about Sixth Mix?
I guess for a while they were on their best behavior, but
Not anymore.
yeah, not really. Then they had to go all extravagant.
Yeah. I mean, if Final Fantasy can do it, and Kingdom Hearts kind of owned and shat all over that.
Oh man, Kingdom Hearts has just
Yeah.
murdered the concept of mathematics. And
Well, at this point, they're finally in Kingdom Hearts 3, so let's just leave them with whole numbers. Integers are good, and just leave
3?
it there.
Really?
Yeah.
No, that can't be right.
Yeah, for real. That just got released this last month.
Oh man, how? Somebody check the temperature in hell?
I
seems
don't
weird.
know. It must be pretty cold. I don't know.
Yeah, well, it's damn cold.
I mean, that's a joke.
Google Weather says mildly frigid.
Mildly frigid.
Uh.
They're not wrong. They're not wrong. It is mildly frigid out there.
I
Silk
suppose.
Song, formerly intended as a content update to Hollow Knight by Team Cherry, will now be released as an entirely separate game instead of a DLC.
All right.
So
They must have had
apparently-
enough content.
Yeah, it must be large enough that they are just like, fuck it, we can't bolt this on anymore. Let's make an entirely new thing. And it
Hey,
follows.
why not? Give it a try.
Yeah, it follows
Yeah.
the adventure of one of the NPCs you talked to in the original Hollow Knight series. So, looking forward to that. It was a really fun game, even though there was portions of it that were mildly irritating.
Yeah,
But
so
Was
it
it-
goes.
yeah,
Was
that's-
it buggy?
No, it wasn't.
That
No,
was a joke.
that's bad. That's real bad. It's a real bad joke.
Okay.
No, there were some areas in Hollow Knight that I was very stubborn in beating much sooner than I should have, and it caused some rage related issues. But
So normal gameplay for you.
yeah,
Got it.
I mean, just another Friday night. But yeah, Silk Song. Looking forward to that. I think they were talking about 2019 for a release date somewhere this year. So cool. I'm gonna pick that up and play the shit out of it. All right, that's all I got for my news. What do we got next?
All right. Well, I might as well go. Well, as previously foreshadowed, I guess, yes, there was a Nintendo Direct, and it happened on the 13th, which is 2 days ago if you're listening to us live. It was a bunch of very interesting things. Honestly, there was a lot of just kind of meh reaction to it, but I thought it was pretty cool. Like, I got to see more information on the new Fire Emblem game. It's called Three Houses, and I forgot when its release date was, because apparently it was supposed to be spring. No, now it's July 26th, which is okay. I think it looks pretty cool. This time the main character is a teacher, and they appear to be in a politically neutral area and have the opportunity to teach, I guess, how do I say, the heirs of the three houses, the three ruling kingdoms around them. And it just looks kind of cool. So I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a Switch game with Fire Emblem, and I like tactical things, so it's pretty good. There is a special edition steel case thing, whatever they're called these days, supposedly coming out for $100 at some point. I haven't found it on sale yet anywhere. Apparently Best Buy accidentally listed it early, and it sold out before the Direct, I guess, somehow. I don't know. But it hasn't listed anywhere else. But I would really like to get a copy of it, so if anybody finds one, let me know. Super Mario Maker has obviously been out for a while now. It's been on Wii U, and it had pretty good success overall. There's a lot of people who are still playing it constantly on Twitch. A lot of Kaizo Mario players really fell in love with it. Well, there's a second version coming out for Switch that adds a lot of mechanics, including slopes, because apparently that was a big thing that they decided to touch on in the Nintendo Direct. So it looks pretty neat. That launches in June of this year, which is coming up real soon, as we think about it, only 4 months away. Bloodstained Ritual of the Night, which looks very Castlevania-like, comes out this summer. It looks pretty cool. If you like your standard Castle/Metroidvania things, obviously that's one thing. Why did I make it two separate words anyway? It looks really neat. There's character customization, which apparently they felt necessary to point out. Huh. So you could be a lady with different skin and hair colors and stuff. I'm like, neat. All right. But it looks pretty interesting. The battle mechanics are pretty varied compared to the 4 weapons that you would normally get in the NES Castlevanias. It's very pretty. The music sounded pretty cool too. The Zelda game, I wasn't expecting to get a remaster, I suppose. Well, one of the many. Ended up getting remastered. So this is Link's Awakening's third time coming around now. So we had the original Game Boy release, we had the Game Boy Color, and now we're going to have a Switch version, supposedly for 2019 already. How do they keep that one under wraps?
Yeah.
Maybe. So that could be that 2D Zelda game that everybody was just kind of like, hey, this is happening. Well, it's kind of 2.5D now. But yeah, definitely go check out the trailer for it. It looks really cute. They chose a very adorable art style. It's 2.5D. It seems to be pretty faithful to the original, at least based on the footage that they showed. So a lot of people are complaining about, well, there's flutes and recorders and stuff in this music. And I'm like, that's the game. So I'm like, come on. It's the Windfish's flute. Come on, just stop. Anyway.
As long as Link isn't yelling his fool head off every time he swings his sword, I'm good with it.
Well, surprise.
It's cute though.
Why did they feel the need to add that to all the remakes and shit? It's silent protagonist. Make him stay silent, please.
Well,
or at least get a better voice actor for it. I don't know.
It's adorable now.
I don't know, man.
Just go watch the trailers, see what you think.
Yeah,
you probably
the art
catch it
style
during a
was
song break.
Yeah, the art style was all I don't know about this, but I don't want to write it off just because of that. I would love to just pick it up, play it, and see if it holds up. Because of all of the Link Zelda games, I guess. That I've played, I want to say Link's Awakening is probably the one I'm most familiar with, so I'll see if I'm right at home with that or not.
I thought it was very cute, so I'm looking forward to it. I've never actually played through the game myself on any version of it so far, so we'll probably rectify that.
It's a good game. It plays a lot like Z3, and I think that's why you'll enjoy it.
It is a very good game.
Yeah, I remember watching you play it back when you were at your apartment in college, but that was a long time ago.
That was a long time ago. Let us never speak of that again.
I don't know. Those sound like good times to me.
They were. It's it's approaching like
A
God,
decade.
10 years ago. Fuck.
I was gonna say, yep, it's about that time.
Yeah. Time to make
Hey, at
new
least we don't
awesome
have to
memories.
drink under sink booze anymore.
Hey
I
man,
mean,
I love my under
technically
sink
it's
booze.
now it's next to your sink. It's not the same.
That's true. I mean, it's still kind of down below, but it's, you know, it's there. And legal.
That's true. Yeah, that never mind. I've never done
Wow.
anything wrong. Anyway,
Dry cans.
Yeah, Fox Valley Hooch. Oh boy.
yeah, it's Green Bay iced tea. Moving on.
Oof.
So the game that got a battle royale that nobody thought would ever get a battle royale got a battle royale. Tetris 99. It's a Tetris battle royale with 99 players at the same time, and then the last one standing wins. I was just like,
It's my friends are posting quite a bit about it on the timeline, and it looks like an absolute blast.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to try it yet because I don't have a life, but I want to. It's free for Nintendo Switch Online subscribers, which conveniently all of us are now, rather. Not our. Weird.
That just seems like too much Tetris at once. 99 is a lot of people stacking blocks.
Well, apparently there's deep strategy in this already, and they've already had like millions of concurrent players, and it's real interesting. And it hasn't gone down yet, so that's real good.
Wow.
Yeah, I was really surprised because they were like, oh shit, we got a hell of a lot more traffic than we were anticipating. Oh, but we never went down. Suck it. So, yeah. And I'm looking at you, Diablo, anyway. Yeah. So that's a thing, and it's going to be free. And very interestingly, it's Guideline Tetris, but it's made by Arika. Which makes us all go, huh? So, yeah, I'd really like to try it at some point.
I mean, honestly, Arika doing it makes me really happy.
Yeah. Supposedly, because, of course, there are hacked switches out there, they've already gone and looked through the game's code and found, why, yes, there are other modes being planned. So, in theory, there's a local mode and a marathon mode being planned for this, which marathon mode is really all the thing I care about. I mean, I guess I can get behind the online thing, but I'd kind of like to play when I'm not online. So, if I can get a good Tetris game that's not Puyo, I'd like to just do that. So, that's coming up. I already mentioned Activision Blizzard being shitlords. Let's see here. Apex Legends is a game that recently came out, and it's already overtaken Fortnite, Overwatch, and League of Legends on Twitch's most watched streams. So that's impressive. Apparently it's reached 25 million players already.
Oof.
So
yeah, that came out of nowhere, man.
Yeah, and suddenly it's #1 on Twitch. So you've got all of the famous Twitchy people, including apparently Ninja, moving over to it, I think. So I've heard, maybe. I don't know. I don't care about that person.
Flavor of the month.
Yeah, pretty much. Let's see here. Yes. Now that I actually have one, as it's been finally delivered after many days of weather delays, AMD's Radeon 7 graphics card was released. It has about, supposedly, the performance of the RTX 2080 for the same price. Unfortunately, it released with some issues, like not having UEFI support, which means you would have to go into your PC's BIOS and turn on CSM, which is the compatibility support module, which we haven't needed since Windows XP. So, that's a thing. As Windows Vista and 7 actually provided EFI support for the first time, but I digress. People are having a lot of luck with undervolting these cards and maintaining the same clock speeds, if not actually going faster because the cards aren't overheating to the point where they throttle. So, I haven't had a chance to rearrange everything in my office like I need to in order to actually get to my PC case in which to open and install this card. But at some point, I plan on it, and I'm curious to see how it performs in, well, the only PC game that I've really played recently, which is FF15. So, I'm curious how that goes, because obviously a lot of things in that game are optimized specifically for NVIDIA, because they've got Hairworks and DLSS and a lot of the garbage in there. So I don't usually play with that stuff turned on anyway. So I'm kind of curious what kind of frame rates I get.
It's honestly, I've not used an AMD GPU since like the 260X, which was a number of years ago. So I'm kind of curious to see what their swing back is like.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to see, but I'm looking forward to it. It was very difficult to get a hold of one. I'm honestly surprised, but well, I'm still surprised considering the mining thing isn't really a thing anymore, but I can only find one brand's card in stock, and it was on Newegg, and apparently it's the Sapphire brand, which I remember buying Sapphire cards when I was buying AM or ATI cards way back in the day. So I hear good things about this. Pretty much every brand that's got cards out there, MSI, there's some other companies I haven't heard of before that I don't know their names, but Gigabyte has one and I refuse to buy them. But pretty much every vendor's card is exactly the same as the reference model, interestingly. AMD has not prevented these manufacturers from creating their own custom PCBs and builds. They just all decided to use the one that AMD made themselves, which is a little boring, but whatever. Everything has the same clock speeds and whatnot. Whatever. So I'm excited for it. It comes in a very unassuming package. It's not huge like the Founders Edition cards. It's definitely not as big as like the Lightning Z packaging that we had. It's just a small box with a card in it that says, "Hi, I'm a Radeon 7. I've got 16 gigabytes of video RAM, motherfucker." So yeah, it's going to be real good for workstation. How do I say? Workstation compute, etc. Because it has so much RAM at such a high clock speed, it can apparently push a throughput of 1 gigabyte per second with its RAM bus. So that's real good for scientific things. So they've basically made a professional workstation card that somehow still appeals to gamers. So it's not priced as high as their proper workstation cards, which themselves are far less expensive than NVIDIA's Quadro line or the Titans. But I don't know. We're going to have to see where it goes. They also just finally released a graphics driver update, which resolves a lot of issues, but there were people who were trying to make reviews of these cards, and they couldn't get the cards to overclock, or they couldn't do certain things, or for whatever reason, alt-tabbing out of a full-screen game would lag the system for like 6 seconds. It was really fucking weird. So AMD has never really been known for good drivers, ever. Even ATI's cards back in the day were really shitty. So I remember having lots of issues with Catalyst drivers way back when, and apparently that's still a thing. So yeah, there's recently, as of like yesterday, or perhaps even this morning, maybe there was another dot release, but they're trying to step their game up because people are like, I can't overclock. There is no other program other than AMD's provided Wattman thing in order for people to, say, edit clock speeds or fan speed curves or anything like that, because this thing gets really loud at 100% fans. Like, it sounds like a jet engine in your PC case. So people have been actually setting these cards to be a maximum of 55% speed, such that they can hear themselves think. So, much like most of everything else that's been in AMD's graphics card line, well, it runs hot and loud. But we'll see. I'm excited for it. I have a feeling it's going to be real easy to resell this thing if I decide I don't want to keep it. So it was kind of a on the whim thing when all of a sudden I looked at Newegg and was like, hey, this thing's in stock. I'll buy it. And then, well, here we are.
And oops, I got it. Now what?
Finally. Yeah. I mean, it was kind of weird because it's like it was supposed to be delivered on Monday and then Tuesday. And then weather happened Tuesday night into Wednesday and then Thursday. Finally got it like yesterday. So I got it real late yesterday. So whatever. I haven't had a chance to do anything with it yet. I've got other things that are more pressing. So we'll see how it goes.
Further news and happenings.
All right, cool. We're on to my items then.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, I also wrote in my notes about Activision Blizzard laying off a large portion of their non-development workforce. But they were non-development community managers, GMs. There was an interview that was published by Esfon today, who was a prominent WoW streamer, with one of the former employees, and like it was kind of a shock. They were like, well, so none of us knew who was going to get canned. We were all just like, we knew it was going to be on Tuesday. And so he's like, all of the staff members who were like, they had a bunch of meetings and stuff one-on-one scheduled, and they were just like checking notes like, oh my god, like who's going to get the axe. And nobody knew until they were basically told to pack up and go. So not only did they not get like any sort of advance notice, but they were, it was just like, like nobody really knew who it was, and it really sucks. Even like some of the veterans who've been there for almost 20 years, were axed. So
despite their strongest financial performance, I don't want to say ever because I don't think that's the case, but in recent history, they let go all these people.
And the biggest bonus is, don't forget that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah, this reminds me of something that happened at a place that I might be employed at presently, like 7 years ago. So it's extremely shitty. Yes. Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to kind of throw that on the end there.
Good. I'm glad all three of us are twisting the knife on that, because that's
absolutely.
They absolutely deserve it.
Yeah. Let's see. Moving on. I'm gonna talk about hardware here for a little bit. Kind of skipping around. NVIDIA GTX 1660 Ti. That's something that's kind of been like, is it happening? Is it not? What's the deal? The debut is reportedly scheduled for a week from now. With a non-Ti version soon after.
What the fuck is this numbering?
I don't know.
I really have no idea. That's
like,
kind
it's
of
not even halfway between the 1080 and the 2080. Just a number that they chose arbitrarily.
Yeah.
I don't know. Marketing just determined that, like, we can't go with 15, so we're gonna go with 16.
I mean, they took a 1080 and added a 580 to it. Surprise! It's a 1660.
And they couldn't just call it a GTX 2080. Oh no, that would just match too many numbers that are out there already.
Yeah. So it's a fact, like, people are thinking that this is just going to be kind of like RTX cards without the ray tracing. It's going to be, kind of the same generation. And kind of rumors about people are kind of thinking like, oh, is this is because of NVIDIA's like really, poor performance, lower sales than the existing cards, stuff like that. But I mean, like, you don't just kind of turn on a quarter and just do this. I think they've had this in the works for a while.
If dropping like the ray tracing garbage out of there cuts, say, $300 off their top line, I'd probably do it.
Yeah, for all we know, it's just like a binned RTX card that like couldn't do ray tracing. Whoop-de-doo.
Yeah. Whoa.
So
except I'd like something more than the 60 series. Like if they could give us a 1680 Ti or otherwise, I'd be like, all right, okay, go on.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, because
I mean, what are you on now? I can't remember.
1070.
Okay.
Which I'm not even in the wheelhouse for an upgrade on that.
Yeah,
right.
No, that's gonna last you for a. Yeah, that'll last you a long time. So there was a recent Steam survey that just kind of looked at like the cards, the graphics cards that people were using, and like a huge number of them were using like 1050 Ti and 1060 and stuff. And so that's going to be, like what they go after, and like RX, 570s and stuff like that. I don't think you have anything to worry about for like another few years, unless for whatever reason, like NVIDIA or AMD come out with something that just like totally smashes our expectations.
I'm actually kind of curious at what this price point might be, because the 2070s, at least for the custom PCB, is on the low end of the binned, I guess, GPUs. They're $500. So they obviously would have to be less expensive than that because, well, it's going to have ray tracing at $500, and we're getting rid of that big feature from the RTX line.
Mm-hmm.
So unless it's like, well, actually, y'all got sucked into stuff because we took all of the computing power from the RTX tensor cores and stuffed it into the other part of the GPU. Haha. No, I don't think that's really going to happen. So probably looking about $350 maybe for the TI, and maybe $280 for 1660. Maybe that would be kind of neat. Maybe I'm $100 off on both of those. I don't think so though, but
it tends to be that like the cards that sell the most by number, not necessarily by revenue, are the ones that are between well, at least for gamer cards, between $100 and $250.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of like the price point where, you know, like it doesn't matter if you're a casual gamer or you know, like you're just really into it and don't have a huge budget. That is what you save for. You go anywhere beyond that and you're already in like enthusiast territory. So
yeah, pretty much. So I don't know. I'm real curious. Like if it ends up being that inexpensive and the performance numbers are that much better than the 1070, I mean, that almost seems like Newegg's got this on sale. Why not?
Yeah.
Purchase. Unlike the $1,200 for a 2080 Ti.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a little steep.
That is
so,
very steep.
Yeah.
So like as kind of a comparison, in the early 2000s, Nvidia released the GeForce 2 Ultra, and the retail price for that was $500. You fast forward a couple decades later, even accounting for inflation and the price the cards of the same tier coming out these days are still more expensive than the top tier cards used to be. So like enthusiast gear, if you want the best, is getting more and more expensive still.
Yeah, it seems like the baseline for that is tending to be on the rise, which sucks.
Yep. And it's because they know people are spending more on PCs because it's kind of like a more popular thing. In the 2000s, you know, they probably had a much smaller install base. So yeah, that wraps up the stuff for the GTX that I've got. Moving on to other bits of hardware, Adobe, in an interview, hinted at the idea of becoming an ARM licensee. And what that means, or potentially means, is they might be considering custom ARM designs.
Oh no.
Yeah, Adobe.
Now you know where that's going.
I don't want an Adobe add-in card. Fuck you.
No. They want to have Adobe Creative Cloud that can only host on their CPU.
No.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
either
bad.
that or they could release like Adobe tablets that only work with their software.
Oh, that's so bad all the way around. Just,
I know. So we'll see where that goes.
I'm already not a terribly big fan of that company for reasons.
Yeah.
That's all I got.
That's about where it falls off.
Yeah. So
you've got other better things than that.
What's up?
So you've got better news items than that.
Oh, absolutely. I'm not going to end on Adobe. Screw that.
Oh man, that would be terrible.
No. So Intel, they've been busy at work. They've really had their work cut out for them ever since Threadripper kind of showed up on the scene. Even with the next generations of Threadripper for workstation builds and productivity builds. Well, Intel released their $3,000 28-core Xeon W3175X. They're kind of shooting for the same demographic as the Threadripper 2990WX. And in benchmarks, it performs marginally better, but the price tag of a 2990WX is like 17 something. It's not $3,000.
Jesus, $3,000 goddamn dollars.
Yeah.
Businesses pay that.
Well, that's the thing is like this isn't
Wow.
aimed at being like a workstation CPU. This is like
Well,
they're trying to capture the same market as Threadripper, and I don't think they're really doing it.
No, they're going about this the wrong way.
oh, I actually just realized that I remember reading something about another Intel SKU, and it's actually a desktop processor.
Mm-hmm.
And I have no idea what it is, but it's the Intel Core i9 9900 KFC.
No,
I'm sorry. Really?
no, that can't.
No, I was reading about this earlier. Let me see if I can pull this up. Core i9 9900
messing
KFC.
with me, man.
Cannot be a thing. Like the
AnandTech.
Cosmos is weird.
No, AnandTech totally. Yep, here. I'm pasting this in chat.
It's
because
not- It ain't April yet.
Come on, man. You can't do
There
this
you go.
Uh-oh. I hesitate to even open this up.
Yeah. Which channel did this end up in?
Oh, this ended up
That's
on the
Twitch
Twitch
chat.
chat.
Oh, okay.
9900
All right, yeah, I have
KFC,
to-
little son of a bitch.
I'll send it to you.
Oh, of course, the images they dipped it in ranch.
Ugh.
No,
Yeah.
dude,
it's,
no. Intel is messing with us. There's
Come on,
no way.
man. No, I refuse.
This is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Hey, if we're going to talk about Intel being ridiculous, I felt the need to share this as you just reminded me of it.
That's silly.
That's glorious.
Yeah. All right. I'm done. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. So now I'm gonna get into more of the gaming stuff. EDM superstar, I guess. Superstar is it? Marshmello hosted a concert via Fortnite and drew in 10 million attendees.
Is this the new
which-
Second Life?
You know, it's kind of weird because like they made a Twitter post saying, "Oh my god, like this is the first online concert ever," and we're
No,
all
it
like,
isn't.
"Dude, we've been
No.
DJing on Second Life for over a decade already.
Oh,
like, just
man.
cut that out."
Yeah.
Like,
I never even used Second Life, and I knew that shit was going on.
yeah, it's probably the largest. Like, they can probably claim that, but the first, get out of here.
First by not even a country mile. That's
Yeah.
ridiculous.
I like
And
that
then
phrase.
and then I got one last one here, and this one is pretty juicy. So 18 days before the launch of the game, which is today, incidentally, Metro Exodus, Epic Games sniped that game from Steam. There was an announcement that was made that Metro Exodus is no longer going to be available on Steam. It's Epic Store only. Just over 2 weeks before release.
Oh, that reminds me. I gotta actually download and set up that client on my machine here. Yeah, because I got a free game. I don't remember what it was.
Oh yeah.
Wasn't it Axiom Verge?
Yeah, you're right.
That's a good game.
Shit, that's also news. Hey,
Mhm.
Axiom Verge is free right now if you sign up for Epic Games account and download and install their launcher. So that's pretty neat.
Mhm.
Apparently, they have this campaign going on where every 2 weeks you can get a game for free. At least that's what was listed, because the next game was also listed there, and I forgot the name of it.
Mhm.
But
But
yeah,
yeah,
let's go ahead and install this.
I'm going to go
It's,
out on a limb and say Epic Store is Windows only.
I don't know. I only
Is it?
see one download, but I'm not sure if it just downloads based on your agent string in your browser.
Initially, Epic Game Store is limited to Windows and Mac OS. Epic says they will be supporting Android and quote-unquote other open platforms, end quote, throughout 2019, presumably with Linux being part of that batch of other platforms. Okay, well,
Cool.
keep an eye
Spiffy.
on it.
Yeah, definitely mention that as news when it comes up. But yeah, I thought that this was particularly interesting because it's like, so some companies will decide, okay, we're gonna take our game to Steam and make it exclusively available on Steam. And this is going the other direction and not because of EA or Ubisoft.
Eh.
Like this is good and all, but I gotta say, like, platform exclusivity, no matter where it is just garbage.
Oh, absolutely. And I'm kind of hoping that like it turns into like just limited time exclusivity, if anything. And then they'll eventually be like, yeah, okay, fine, we'll release on Steam.
Yeah.
The
Well,
other
I
part of
wonder
me is
how much
like,
of that's just due to how much revenue that the developers get,
yeah,
because that split is quite a bit different
Mhm.
presently.
mm-hmm. Yeah. What I'm hoping it eventually leads into is Steam just deciding, okay, actually we can take a smaller cut. Like it almost ends up being like a kind of ground zero for negotiation, if you will, to try and get developers more money in their pockets.
I mean, I guess we'll see how it goes. I can
Mhm.
tell you that the launcher compared to Steam is much lower resource use. It's also much more minimalistic design too. They have negative space and they use it, and it's nice.
I don't know. I kind of like the information dense thing of Steam. If I used
I mean,
maybe
it's
more
not.
than 10% of it.
Oh, that's fair. Where is a place that I can show this screenshot? Well, I can't really paste it in Twitch chat.
You just paste it in Discord. At least the rest of
Yep.
us can take a look at it.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was just trying to figure out the best place to put that, but I suppose Discord is.
Yep.
So here's what the interface looks like. I think it's pretty neat.
That is very interesting. Very flat.
Yep.
Very dark.
Big fan of
which I
that kind of
like.
design. Yeah, and I don't believe I set that unless it remembers my settings from a different install. Nope, no, it didn't.
Home.
The only weird thing that
library, friends, engine. Okay, good.
For engine.
The only thing that I ended up having an issue with was it by default wanted to install the game in C program files Epic Games. That folder doesn't exist. It installed in C program files x86. And when you try to choose the program files directory instead of also appending space left paren x86 right paren, it would fail to create the folder because trusted installer needs to make those folders, and even with admin rights, it would just crap itself. So that's just a manual fix I needed to type in when I was installing the game, which the only got on here so far is Axiom Verge. But yeah, anyway, that's that, and now the game's installed. That was pretty quick.
Yep.
As
So
soon
that's
as I logged in, it's like, hey, you want to install this? I'm like, sure.
You want this
Why
game?
not?
of course you do.
Okay. I'm gonna say.
So that's all the news items that I've got. So I think we can move on.
We on to some
All right.
Tinskis round one here. Bonus level 1.
All right.
Mm-hmm.
I will get us started then. We'll start with Wanderlust by Zisoto from Final Fantasy VIII.
And then a remix from Shovel Knight entitled More Might by Hypertream.
And I've got a remix from Secret of Mana titled Colors of the Winter Sky by Rebecca E. Tripp and Gamer of the Winds.
Okay, well, I know we all played something because I witnessed some of it personally myself with my own two eyes.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't need your eyes to see games. I don't know.
I'm gonna go ahead and disagree with you on that one. I'm pretty sure you do need your eyeballs for such
I
a
don't
thing.
know. You've
Hmm.
had some ad hoc game ideas that did not require the use of vision.
I suppose. I mean,
That's
how
true.
many years have we been doing this now?
Many
Close
years,
to
several
10?
in fact. More than one.
More than one, yes.
More than
Thank
one.
you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yes. I've played quite a few things, some of which were, well, I guess. Okay, yeah. All right, yes. That does include the stuff from when we were doing Wintergreen Mist, I suppose. But
Mhm.
I didn't play a whole lot of things at Wintergreen Mist beyond. I watched people smush.
Yeah. Oh, that's true. I forgot to include that in my list.
Yeah, and I participated in Mario Kart 8 for a little bit, so that was a thing. I played Tetris the Grandmaster briefly on stream. Also Octopath for a day. Really loved that game. Got to get back into it again. We went and visited Althaford and his spouse, and we played. I think it was Sonic Team Racing. I think.
Yeah, it's like Sonic Racing Transformed or something.
Whatever. It was some Sonic racing game. It was terrible.
Yeah, it's not that good.
What?
It
But
was
you gotta go
absolutely
fast.
terrible. Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah,
Aw.
you go fast, but it's also a terrible experience.
Oh.
Yeah, it was really bad. But I played Uno the card game. That was fun. I like playing Uno. Also played a board game that was called Cargo, which is actually really interesting, and it's about shipping things across the Great Lakes. And I liked it. It was pretty fun. We played with accelerated rules because by default your moves are supposed to be a pair of d6s. We used a d12 and a d10 because otherwise the game was going to take hours. So it was fun. I need to look to see if I can find any more copies of that game because that was a request from Alphaford because they would like to obtain another copy to give away as a wedding gift. So at some point I'm going to get back to searching for that, but we found one on eBay for over $100.
Whoa.
So it's up
Yeah,
there, and
They didn't
apparently
make many.
yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna keep an eye out for that when I go looking around at thrift stores and whatnot. But I very briefly played The Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild last night. Not well, but that's probably going to be a thing coming up on stream potentially next weekend. CEMU is an open source, I want to say. Maybe it's not. But regardless, it's a Wii U emulator, and it's made huge strides in compatibility and performance and all sorts of different metrics over the last couple of years. And people are saying that with an RTX 2080, especially the cards that I've got with the TI and the amount of power that I've got in my PC, I should have no problem having a stable 4K 60 Breath of the Wild experience. And I had an experience on my laptop last night with my 1050 that was sure a thing. But yeah, it's no RTX 2080 Ti, but it booted, it played in 4K, it had several frame rate drops, but as soon as things got going, it was actually pretty okay. So I'm going to be transferring that install over to my stream PC and see how that goes. So that could be coming up in the near future. There's a lot of other Wii U games that I just didn't have a chance to play much of because the Wii U was a terrible console, and that what tablet thing, the whatever the hell they called it, that was awful. It had the shortest battery life ever, and it was terrible. But now that I can play those on PC, I might actually be encouraged to stream some of that stuff. Not that several of those games haven't been remade on Switch anyway, but yeah.
Cool. Is that it for your game list?
Yeah.
Awesome. So I've been playing and continue to play World of Warcraft, Battle for Azeroth. But since last show, I still have not touched an inch of any of the new content because it sucks.
Yeah.
Oh, womp womp.
Yeah, well, it feels so bad, man. The alpha was so good, and then they went and ruined it, and so I'm just having a really hard time motivating myself. But I've also had a whole bunch of other fun projects and games to do. So I did get a bit more of DDR in. Our cabinet's gone.
Yes, we finally got rid of it.
Yeah, it's we found somebody to take it, I guess. They're going to convert it into a Kinect based Just Dance machine, which kind of saddens me, but all the same, it's like, well, not our problem anymore. But we did keep the DDR pads, obviously, because dang, those are still the best. So yeah, so there's that, and less garbage in our garage. I got back into doing some more Final Fantasy IX. It's kind of Tormod and I, our casual, like, let's just sit and chill and wind down for the night kind of game.
Yep.
Still my favorite Final Fantasy of all time. And I guess which is also why it's kind of awesome that they released it on Switch as well. But it's the same damn version. It's the same as the mobile / Steam release with all of its weird like mobile phone centric UI and stuff.
And also the bug that every time you enter a battle, whatever music was playing beforehand actually starts over at the beginning of the track. So it doesn't continue where it left off like normal games would.
Oh, no.
It just starts right over at the beginning of the track.
Wait, that is even worse than...
That's a bug on the PC version too, apparently.
No, it's not in ours. It doesn't do that.
Well, supposedly that's a thing.
Yeah,
so
maybe in some patches, but our version of the PC release doesn't do that. But that's really crappy, because that would annoy the crap out of me really fast, given how quickly you could do some battles. So there's that. I've also been playing some Unreal Tournament 3. A lot of that has to do with I really haven't put these 144 hertz monitors to the test, like an actual Twitch FPS test. So I dug out Unreal Tournament 3, which is probably it's one of my favorite installments of any FPS. Not the best, but it's also really pretty. And I wanted to see if even on, a 2070, I could do that at 144, at 1440p. And it turns out you can. It actually like more than doubles that frame rate. So this card's pretty awesome for that. Yeah, it's FPS gaming on 144 hertz is I really wish I would have been able to do this back when I was super into FPS games. I did that with Quake 3 Arena as well, but that game is frame capped, so I don't really get the same effect. Yeah, been having a lot of fun with that. And then finally, and this is a game that I actually played at Winter Emus, Celeste. I'd never played it before, so all of us kind of, while we were together, just decided to boot up Celeste and have me give it a try. And I immediately fell in love with the game. It is really enjoyable. I like those kinds of like puzzle platformers that are like kind of on the brink of like a frustrating difficulty, but like not so much that like you want to give up. Like it just makes you want to keep going. And gosh, I can't remember the last time I've had so much fun with the 2D platformer. I would love to just pick it up and continue that and just finish it up.
If you ever get to the end game content of it, you might revise your statement about it not being frustrating enough to make you give up. But then again, when I played said content, I'm a very stubborn person, so
yeah,
even if I did want to give up, I wouldn't have. So
no, you're not stubborn.
I'm very stubborn.
I mean, you also got people watching you, so that kind of makes a difference.
I guess so, but still.
People who like to watch you suffer and contribute to that suffering.
Yeah, no kidding. Right?
Yeah. But yeah, it's a really wonderful game, and it gives you a great sense of accomplishment when you can make it pass through, some of the puzzles and stuff. So yeah, as soon as I find the time in between all of my other projects, I will definitely pick that up and see if I can make my way all the way through it.
So that, I suppose, begs the question. Would we purchase it on Switch or PC, or what would you prefer?
The thing is, like, I would find it to be a difficult sell for me personally on the Switch. And the reason is when I am out and about, effectively traveling, I've got my laptop. And when I'm at home, I'm playing on my PC. And there really isn't any single opportunity besides when I'm, flying on a plane that I'm traveling as a passenger. I am driving everywhere. So there really isn't any, good place for me to enjoy a game on a mobile format like that.
I mean, still, I would like to be able to play it on a TV and not have to worry about lugging things around. But
yeah, that's true. Thing. Yeah, and there's always the option of playing it in the living room, but yeah, if you wanted to be able to just stick it on more displays, I guess more conveniently, sure, we could totally go with the Switch version. And you got a dock upstairs, so I mean, we can always just stick it in there if we want to play it.
That was the plan. I mean, just for games in general.
Yeah.
Anyway, rambling over.
So that's it for my my games list. So yeah, Bond, hit us with the.
That leaves me, huh? Okay.
Yeah. The quest for semi-glory.
Oh my god, it continues. So I just finished up A Darkest Dungeon last week. And it's a game I had played as fully through as I had the sanity to play fully through back in April 2017, before they had released a bunch of content updates for it. So I felt this was now the time to grab DLC, grab every available pack for it, and try it again, make another go at it. And it's very fun, and it's kind of a horror RPG, roguelike permadeath that takes forever to build up a party in, and you can lose it just in the blink of an eye. However, my run through it this time was far more fruitful. I did make it through the Darkest Dungeon, the namesake of the game, once without anybody dying, which is a shock to me, especially since last time I did this back in 2017, I sent my best party in there and they totally wiped. But this time, everybody made it through. I left it on a high note, like everybody was good, everybody's like super happy, and I was okay. That's enough of that game. Let's leave it as a win and just move on. So with that, I've started on Distance this week, which is the second game by the team that made Nitronic Rush, which was one of the I forget what is it called, the Digipen Institute or whatever, one of the game development educational studio type things made Nitronic Rush, and is pretty good, won some awards and all that stuff. So Distance is their second game. I struggled to kind of come up with like a one-word genre for it, but it's a racing game that's also sort of a platformer and sort of an endless runner too. And you deal with some really strange car physics sometimes. Like you're driving on walls and ceilings and doing flips and shit like that. It's a lot of fun. Like the core quote unquote campaign mode of it is it's a real quick go through. I was through it in a night and a half, but now I'm on to some of the more arcadey challenge style levels, which are frustrating, but again, like you had said before, Saxxon, frustrating to the point where you want to complete them, you want to master them, but not too frustrating where you just want to bin it and just be done.
Yeah.
So I'll be moving into my second week of that next week. Looking forward to it. It's a lot of fun because it's a lot of fun to do a level like 40% well, and then shit just goes off the rails by the time you get to the 41st% of the level, and it's just fun to yell at the car because I like yelling at things. Apparently, it sells. So I'll be doing my second week of that next week. Shmup Book Club, we've been doing in January. We were doing Donpachi, which is a lot of fun. Although I have some serious concerns about the announcer in that game. He's very condescending and unkind, and I do not appreciate his sass. But we have moved on from Donpachi into the February Shmup Book Club of the Month game. R-Type 3, The Third Lightning for Super Nintendo. It's a terribly rude game, as many shmups of the SNES era tend to be. And everybody thinks it's rude, and everybody is unified in their belief that this is a very rude game that should not be given much playtime. I, of course, being a very stubborn person, played it exclusively yesterday instead of the quarterly shmup for January through March, which is Crimson Clover World Ignition. I didn't play that for the past couple weeks because I've been playing R-Type 3. And kind of a left turn for me, I actually booted up Wii Sports Resort a little bit last week.
Tennis or golf?
Golf.
Nice.
Wii Sports Resort doesn't have tennis. That was the original Wii
did.
Sports. Yeah,
Got it.
but definitely golf, because that's like one of the few really effective use of motion controls that I've ever seen. It's fucking fantastic. And I shot an 11 under par on 18 holes, which was a personal best, which is hilarious. Including a chip-in for eagle on a par 4 with a 3-wood.
Nice.
All
right.
It's just the weirdest bullshit I've ever seen, but it was hilarious.
Awesome.
I almost put another dent in my ceiling because I got so excited. But that was
You haven't
fun.
done that at the house yet, right?
No, I haven't done. I'm pretty sure, like in my first apartment, there's probably still a sizable dent in that ceiling.
Yeah.
And probably still a mark on that Wii remote if I haven't completely busted that one by now. But that's fun. I've also taken to playing Nova Drift again. It's almost to early access. This is one of those kind of twin stick space shooter games I backed on Kickstarter. There's been a lot of recent updates to it. It was broken on Wine for a while, but the most recent updates fixed that, so I've been kind of putting some time into that. And it's interesting to see how it's evolved. Like constantly, week to week, there's new builds, new patches, new releases, new whatever. And I don't think I can share any more information about that, unfortunately, because it's a really sick game, and I'm looking forward to playing it in super earnest on stream too.
Nice.
And then I finally caved and I bought a Switch, and I bought Smush, Smash Brothers Ultimate. I've been playing that off and on the past few nights since I got the Switch, and I have some concerns about some of the design aspects of that game, but overall it's very fun. It's very fun, and there are certain points of it that are legitimately enraging, and I have to be careful about how quickly I move my hands and what happens to be in my hands when I move them very quickly, because that's how shit gets broken. Hi. Besides that, I've been doing my standard Legend of Zelda Link to the Past randos. Enemy randomizer is still on because it's a fun little thing. It wasn't terribly rude last week, which is surprising. In fact, when I did the Triforce Hunt variant of it, I set a new PB at like 47 minutes or whatever, which was
right on.
surprising, and it doesn't mean anything because speedrunning randomizers is not like even a thing, but it's fun regardless. And then, of course, Assault Android Cactus. Shiitake Infinity Drives only for the past, like, month and a half. I made it to layer 42 out of 50 last week, which was solid. That was a new quote-unquote PB for that as well. Usually I top out around 36, 37, 38, somewhere around there. You just cannot go fast enough with that character. But 42 is pretty impressive. And considering that, I don't think... Let's see. What is today? Today is the 15th? 15th of
Yep.
February, we have one more show before our Extra Life marathon in April.
That's true.
So I will not talk about my personal plans for Extra Life runs just yet. We'll save that for next time. But it does involve, of course, Salt Android Cactus. But a little suspense. Yeah, you gotta leave them wanting a little bit more. That's how this works.
One more month.
One more month. Well, a month and a half.
One more month.
Month and a half until we actually do the thing, and that's going to be a good time for a good cause, as always.
Yep.
Okay, how about we get to some more Toonskis, bonus level 2 here.
All right. Devotion to the Motif by APZX from Final Fantasy IV.
Then a remix from Snowboard Kids entitled Avalanche by Miso29.
And then I've got a remix from Quake titled Slipgate by Mike DM92.
All right. Well, given the bad stretch of weather we've had in the past week and a half, whatever, I have a design that's kind of apropos to it and sort of inspired by it. So I'd like to go first this time, I believe.
Okay.
Go right for it. We can get the bad weather over with first.
Yeah, we sure can, right? So I've got a particle positioning and balancing puzzle, due in no small part to a lot of particle shifting that I've done personally in the past few days, probably on the order of millions or billions or whatever, depending on how you want to classify snow and ice as a particle. So the goal is to keep as many particles on screen at once when time in the stage expires. The particles start off falling from the top of the screen, varying physics of size, friction, and weight. So you could be dealing with sand or snow, and water, I suppose you could be dealing with a particle. If you start trying to argue that light should be treated as a particle, I'm going to tell you to try the expert mode, because that's where light comes in. Using various platforms, levers, conveyors, etc., position those particles as low on the screen as you can. Some platforms are entirely stationary. Some you can rotate freely. Some you can position freely. Some you can do both. Some move and rotate on their own. Each level may include environmental effects such as permanent or changing wind. Gee, like the stiff north wind that I had to shovel into the other day. And occasionally drops of weight from the top that will shift and warp and distort your platform placement. There's a few different modes to this. Staged mode, which is locked-in settings per level, endless or timed, particle attributes, etc., where your goal is to meet a minimum goal score in order to advance to the next stage. There's also an endless mode, where you can choose the particle appearance rate to determine whether the game will be a little bit more fast-paced or a little bit more slow-paced and more methodical and choosy. Unlimited time to manipulate platforms, and then you take a snapshot to end the round and lock in your final score. And then there's a timed mode, which is like endless, but with a fixed particle appearance rate. End of level is forced on the expiration of the timer, but you can end it early with a slight score penalty if you so choose, if you don't think you're going to get a better score in the last 30 seconds or whatever. Scoring is based purely on the number of particles that are stationary on time expiration or whenever you choose to end the level. More points for lower on the screen, as determined by the platform on which they rest, and how highly those particles have to be stacked in a certain pyramid fashion or something like that. There's also a penalty for letting particles fall off the bottom or the sides of the screen, so while it might be in your best interest to let the level play out on its own, maybe it would be more score effective to end it early and take the penalty. And that's about it. I kind of blazed through that pretty quick because I hate snow, and I don't want to talk about it, even in the abstract.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah, that's a very cold end.
I thought I delivered it with a very icy tone.
Yeah. Also, fuck you, Blizzard.
Mm-hmm. Fuck you. Fuck you indeed, Blizzard. There we go. There's that other knife twist we were expecting.
There you go.
Hilarious.
I've been waiting this whole time to say that.
So how long have you been sitting on that one?
Not really. You mentioned snow games, so.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair.
I mean, you need active vision in order to make these piles.
Get out. / ban.
All right, well, I guess that means it's my turn.
Yeah, whoever wants to go next, take it away.
So I've created a title called Rumination. It is a puzzle RPG for 1 to 4 players, which depends on the puzzle itself. I believe that this could be big enough where we could actually just have different puzzle designations, where there would be single-player versions of some puzzles, or where multiple players could make the same puzzles more interesting, but we might be able to add elements to it, that kind of thing. So they would grow based on the amount of players playing. So input method, however, I don't really care. You can use Connect for all I care. Just some way to interact with the game. That's pretty much it. It's 3D. You're going to need something to do that. So
Famicom microphone.
Do it up. I don't give a shit. Graphic style, cell shaded with high contrast. And by high contrast, I mean I want there to be a visible difference between a platform and something sitting on it. Like, I don't want any of this, like, brown and green nonsense bullshit that you can't see anything inside of. I want there to be very distinct boundaries between things so that there's no ambiguity as to what is what. So audio style, it really depends on the puzzle itself. Like they could go into different biomes and climates, and it could be in a factory. I don't know. I mean, it really depends on what's going on. Some ideas that they had would be ambient percussive or looming orchestral or whatever fits the scene. Really depends. Point of view can be toggled between first and third person. I think that really depends on, well, is this something that really requires something to be looked at really close up? Or is it something that you would benefit from seeing the big picture? That kind of thing. So you can toggle between the two, whatever fits the scenario that you're in. The story, I don't care. Choose your own trope for escaping a labyrinth. There you go. A hook. I'm sure there's some of those. Inventory.
Plot. Fuck it.
The inventory will grow over time as you discover new tools, weapons, and artifacts, so on and so forth. Gee, this has never been done before. You might find such things as rope, a hook and sling, bow, various types of arrows, maybe some explosives, limited range magic, that type of thing. It really depends. What I'm really kind of hoping this kind of turns into, though, is sure, we've got like all of these things to solve puzzles, but in the end, we're looking for efficiency, and maybe chain reactions could be a possibility. So what if we turn this into some sort of horrifying Rube Goldberg machine of sorts? What if that also means that you have to, slaughter in some way one of your teammates in order to make things go more quickly? Who knows? I mean, you might just have to sacrifice somebody in order to get things moving. It really depends on the puzzle. Now, do you want to be really nice and be like, okay, everybody survives this turn before the next thing? Sure, I mean, you can do that. But if you're playing for speed, well, there might be some sacrifices in here somewhere. Somebody might get their head lobbed off with a cannon. We don't know. Things like that. Let's see here. The mechanics for this game, you utilize objects in varied environments to initiate a cause-effect chain to accomplish a specified goal. That is definitely developer speak right there. Here's a design document.
Whoa, wait a minute. You lost me at like the middle of that sentence.
All right, I will repeat it once more.
I feel like I'm back at the workplace.
There you go. You're going to utilize objects in inventory in varied environments to initiate a cause-effect chain to accomplish a specified goal. There we go. It almost sounds like a midterm or a mid-year review. I don't know.
Oof.
Yeah, I love the use of specified goal because it refers to something specific, but you don't know what specific thing it is.
It's never actually stated.
Cap's forehead. There we go. Objective for this is to complete all puzzles and escape the labyrinth, ruins, whatever the hell this is. I don't care. This isn't La Mulana.
Good. La Mulana already exists. There's no need to make it again. Except
exactly.
They did.
I wanted to specify that this was 3D. This was not going back to the runes. So yes.
La Mulana 3D. Go.
Oh no! Don't give them ideas.
Virtual Hydolite. I mean, what?
Dude.
Oh.
Now
what are you talking about? Like
rumination.
the game of the year?
Yes, exactly. That delightful thing that happened at AGDQ that I want more of. Super Hydolite is another tangent here, but Mike Oyama, the founder of GDQ, and Bersenja have been kind of trading strats lately, and I'm really curious to see how that goes. Anyway, yeah. That's my game. Same.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very good.
All right, Saxxon, your turn.
Yeah, I would definitely give that a try and see how many specified goals I could complete. Cool. So I have I have no idea where this came from, but I kind of like it. So this is going to be a mouse and keyboard driven game, or basically just cursor driven, I guess. The cursor can freely roam on the screen. It's a static field, so it's not scrolling, and it's going to be top-down 2D gameplay, so stage-based. You see the whole stage all at once, etc., etc. You're gonna have a player character which is separate from the cursor, and I haven't really determined what that's gonna be. It's a magnetic object of some kind, and the magnetism is significant because um, if you just kind of place the mouse cursor somewhere, click and hold it, it'll activate a magnetic field, short range.
Ooh.
So for as long as the button is held, it will generate a magnetic field at that point that will start to attract things to it, including your player character. Holding the button down, though, costs energy. And you have a limited amount of energy to use on the stage. There's also a recharge meter that is shown when you hold down, the mouse button or whatever to create that field. This bar actually fills up as energy is spent. It's the amount of time that must go by before you are able to use your magnetic power again. So the longer you hold a magnetic field somewhere, the more time you have to wait in order for it to recharge effectively. The magnetized location will not change after first pressing and holding the button, even if you move the cursor. So basically, once you place the field, it'll stay there no matter where else you move your mouse for as long as the button is held. It makes it so that you can kind of plan your next move, like put your cursor where you're going to go next. And I think something like that is going to make it a bit more friendly to people who are, say, controlling it with like a gamepad stick or something. Because they don't have to have the same kind of precision with the mouse as long as they can get to where they need to go in that short amount of time. So your goal is effectively to navigate your player object through the field, avoiding walls and other obstacles. I mean, walls aren't going to hurt you. You just kind of bounce off of them or scrape along them. However, there are also enemies in the stage, and these are actually harmful. There's also bonuses that, they're like power-ups that might reset your recharge meter so that you can immediately use your power again. They might refill energy, might just be a score bonus, temporary invincibility, maybe like a health restore, that kind of thing. Speaking of health, the player object can take 2 hits total. So one hit is going to destroy its outer armor shell, which has a couple other side effects. The object will be lighter, so it'll be easier to attract to the magnet, but also won't maintain the same kind of momentum just due to the loss of mass. Some enemies are susceptible to the magnetic field as well, so you're not always controlling your own character. Sometimes you are like pulling enemies into a pit or pulling them into some other hazard like spikes or whatever. So you really can have a lot of fun with the different ways that you can solve a stage. You can also, and this isn't in my notes, but I just thought of this, you can also use the attraction to pull 2 enemies together and just smash them together, which sounds like a whole lot of fun. Let's see. Hit points are restored at the start of each stage, so you'll get that, you'll start every stage with that protective armor. There are also going to be teleporters, which, they can take you from one area of the stage to another. They could be deterministic, they could be random. It really depends on how the level itself is designed. There will also be acceleration pads, which will cause the player object to gain acceleration in the direction, kind of indicated by little arrows. And I guess you could kind of think of them as like conveyor belts, but they're not really belts. They just add acceleration in a direction, which can cause your player object to go really, really fast, depending. And that's pretty much it. Just guide it to the goal, which is like, you'll hit the goal, move on to the next stage, yada, yada. You progress through the different levels. The levels stages rather are separated into chapters for single player play. There's also going to be a randomly generated survival mode with the seed that is generated once per day by the master server, and the players can compete on that seed all day. So it kind of turns it into like a refreshing competitive thing every day. The last 7 days worth of winners will be shown as a separate leaderboard from all time. So if you end up winning that day's, random seed, you'll be on the random seed leaderboard for a week. Let's see. Yeah, so high scores, leaderboards, all that other fun stuff. And then the final item that I've got that'll spice things up is a hard mode, which instead of magnetic attraction, you get magnetic repulsion, which completely flips the way that you are expected to solve certain stages and problems. So that's something to keep in mind during the level design. Make it completable with both, but make it a decent challenge for the repulsion mode as well.
So it seems like that mode you wouldn't be able to necessarily stop the movement of your player-controlled object there.
Yeah, and it seems like that's a lot more difficult to control because, like, with the attraction, as the object gets closer to like the center of the magnetic field, like it's easier to. It's like circling a toilet bowl, kind of. Where as it gets closer, you can kind of guide it where you need to go. Repulsion is just like get it away from this spot, but you don't have as much control over, like you can kind of guide it in a direction by strategically placing it, but you can't like guide it around, like really tight halls and maze type stuff. So, and the delay, especially, hinders you in that, not because of anything that's built into the game, but just by how the mechanics interact. Because with repulsion, you're going to need a lot more clicks to get your player object where it needs to go.
And is that similarly varied based on... is the effect similarly varied based on how distant you are from the object?
Yes, so let's say that you decide to put it like right next to your player object. You are going to wing it in whatever direction, that's kind of nearby. It's sort of the same with the attraction. You can sort of do that, but the repulsion is going to have a greater effect just because of like how easy it is to get it like really moving. Whereas with attraction, it's like you can kind of fling it if you like stop the magnetic field as your momentum's kind of carrying you towards it. But yeah, despite the fact that it's like just two different kinds of like acceleration, just the way that those will interact are just wildly different in practice.
Okay. Separate leaderboards for each mode, I would guess.
Oh yes. Yeah, and
super hard.
Yeah, I would love to separate the regular one from the hard mode. And then I think it would be kind of cool for the random generation to also do regular and hard mode. In that case, I would rename them to attraction versus repulsion mode, because there could be some random designs that are in fact easier to do with repulsion.
In the hopes that neither design is impossible.
Right.
With a given mode, right?
Right. And I imagine that if attraction is possible, that repulsion would also be possible. It's just, different directions where the acceleration is being applied. Mm-hmm. So. And that's all I got for that design.
Okay, well, we got some good variation this go around. I think all of us kind of stayed away from our standard genres, mostly.
Yeah, I did my best.
We all do our best.
Fuck it.
Yeah, plot fuck it. I can get behind that, honestly.
Yeah, I kind of dig. Yeah. No, these were some great game designs.
Might be candidates for some revisits later on when we get to episode 420.
Yep.
All right. Well, any other final closing remarks? Anything we need to address before we give everybody back their night?
We'll see you tomorrow.
You will. You will.
Yeah.
That's right.
Beyond that, no, I'm pretty happy with how things went. Considering
Yeah.
we haven't done the Discord version of this in quite some time.
Yeah, that's true. It went much more smoothly this time, I think, even despite the very hurried stuff I had to do at the last minute to get it to work. But that's fine. That's.
I also didn't have to tell you to turn off shuffle, so that's good.
true. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
Well before things got kicked off. So we're making progress.
Nice.
Things are being learned. Science is being done.
There you go.
All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for joining us. I am Mr. Bond.
I'm Tormod.
And I'm Saxxon.
I'll leave you with our typical closing track, a remix from Mario Kart Wii entitled Wind in Your Hair by Overclocked University. Good night, everybody.
Ciao.
Adios.